Hey guys, this is Echo Soundworks with another tutorial for MassiveSynth.com. First off, if you're not subscribed to this YouTube channel, please sign up at youtube.com/ADSR Tuts, that's TUTS. That way you can stay up to date with all of the free tutorials we are releasing. Alright, in today's video, I'm going to be showing you a cool tip and trick on how to actually get useful results, or just how to use the Randomize feature inside of Massive in a production type environment. So if you guys are like, what the heck's the Randomize feature? And some of you might be grumbling, being like, oh boy, how can you actually use that? For those of you who know what it is, the Randomize feature in Massive isn't something that is specific to that synth. A lot of soft synths have it. Silent does, for instance. And it's basically just with a click of a button, you can start with a pad in theory and then click it and maybe end up with a bass or something. But it never typically works out how you hope. Like, you would just want to change the pad into a different pad, but it turns into some like terrible gears grinding, rubbing your hands down chalkboard type sound. So there is a way to get usable results and a way that you can use it in a production environment. And I have in this little ditty right here, it's a two instances of the same pluck pan left and right. Right? And the human ear is not very good at perceiving a stereo width with two sound sources that are panned left and right that are the same sound and at the same volume. So right now I have two of those problems. It's the same sound, it's copy and pasted, and they're at the same volume. So I could turn one down. And that starts to sound wider to our ear just because someone who's much smarter than me determined that's just how it works. So we producers, mix engineers, we have all these tricks that we try to do if we have something in mono where we'll copy and paste it just to apply a trick that will make it sound wider, like sample delay, stereo imaging, things like that. There's a bunch of different tricks. But when you're using a soft synth, you don't really have to do that, because you should be able to just open up another instance or bounce to audio and slightly change one. So let's actually look at how to use the Randomize feature real quick in Massive to actually do that. So the Randomize feature, for those of you who don't know, if you click the Global tab, you will see it. And you'll see all these different parameters. You'll see Randomize All, and then there's these boxes for these 5 different sets of parameters. And then you have Oscillator, Filter, Insert Effect, and Master Effects, and you're shown a percentage. So let's actually talk about how this actually works really quick. So if you keep it on all, you'll see here that, I'll show you what I mean. So let's solo this. I'll bring it back center. So I'll actually run down all of these step by step. So parameter, if you click on parameter and you click all, you see, watch Massive as I click these. You see a lot of things changing, right? So it's kind of hard to know what's actually going on. So let's actually just do the oscillator so I can show you what's happening. So if you click random in the oscillator with parameter on, do you see how the wavetables are still staying the same? Wavetables aren't changing. It's just changing the parameters in that section. So it changed the pitch, it changed the pulse width or the amplitude, the intensity. It's changing all that. It's not changing it to spectrum. It's not turning things on and off. It's just changing parameters. So let's actually go to the filter now. So watch the filter as I do this. See, it's just turning down the cutoff or turning up the resonance. So that's what parameter does. So let's uncheck parameter. Mod depth. Now let's click this, just watch the oscillators. So do you see how the pitch and the envelope are changing? So right now it's 39.30 for the envelope mod. Now it's 49, and that's what the mod depth will change. And again, if you have modulation in any part of the synth, like the filters, and you click it on filter, it'll change that. So the percentages here determine how much of a change this has to the sound. So if I turn it up to 100% and now start clicking this, it starts changing a whole heck of a lot more than it did at 30%. So by default, the 30% seems to be pretty intense when it comes to how much it affects the sound. So let's do connections, and we'll stay in the oscillator. So watch what the oscillator is doing. So did you see it just changed? That was the LFO. Now it's my release macro that I had on this sound. So it's adding it's connecting. They call them connections, I guess. It's the idea of adding maybe another instance of one of your macros, or just something else that can connect to the sound. It typically do macros. Every once in a while it'll throw in a different LFO. So let's go to typeset. This will change if you're in the oscillators, this will change the wavetables. See, it's changing the wavetables. If you're in the filters, it'll change the filter type. If you're in the insert effect, it'll change what effect you have, master effect, so forth. And then matrix, this will apply only to the mod matrix, and it will change parameters or typesets or the pitch or connections inside of just the modulation oscillator. So now that I've clicked this a bunch, let's see how terrible this sound is. It's actually not as bad as I thought it would be, but all right. So let me reduplicate this track so we can actually look at how this works. So we're keeping in line with this idea of we need to do something to add some more stereo width to the sound. So we have to look at this objectively in that you have to think what type of sound are you using and what's your goal with that sound. So with a pluck, if I change the filter, the cutoff filter too much, it's not going to be a pluck anymore. It's going to be a lead. That's just a straight up lead at that point. So I don't want to do anything to the filters. I'm just going to turn the filter down just so you can see me turning that off. It wouldn't affect it if I don't click random. But now let's look at the insert effects. So on the insert effects, I have none. So let's check that off by just turning that down to 0. And the master effects, I have reverb and delay. I don't really see this sound needing any more reverb or delay. If I was using it in a production, I might actually turn those off and go third party. So let's turn that down. And so process of elimination, I'm either at the modulation oscillator or the oscillators themselves. Okay, so modulation oscillator, let's turn that off, see how it is. It doesn't have a huge effect on the sound, so I'm not going to worry about that. So let's start thinking about now the oscillators. So we're going to keep that on. Now, what do I want to change in the oscillators? Well, if I change the I could change either the wavetables or I could change the parameters of what we have. So we could mess around with parameters or typeset. So let's try messing with parameters first. I'm going to turn this % down to 10 and now change it. Okay, so see how that's now changing. That's changing the pitch, so that's not going to work. Right? Now we have an unusable sound. So let's actually, I'm going to make a new instance of that patch. And I'm purposely showing you this process of elimination just so you can kind of see how you can kind of go through each of those visually for all you visual guys out there. Just to kind of think, okay, how can I make this sound better using this quickly? So let's turn the oscillator back down. And now I'm going to go to typeset. And that's going to change the wavetables. So let's click on random. All right, so now it's some rough math and a DigiGrain 03. So let's listen to this. That could work. Now let's listen to the original sound. All right, let's hit it again. I kind of like that one, so let's solo that and see how it sounds. So see, it didn't change any of the I guess like the meat of the sound, the things that were really making this sound like this pluck. It just slightly changed it. So if I wasn't doing the tutorial, that would have taken like 5 seconds. I would have just opened this up, went to my global. I would have thought for a few seconds, okay, go through that process of elimination, end up on oscillator, click it a couple times, and I'm good to go. And then I'd probably bring this other one back in just a little bit towards the center. All right, so there you have it. There's a really quick way to change a preset without changing too much of it. So again, you can use this for a host of ideas. I mean, you can get really creative with this, but it's always cool to kind of, even if you're just layering sounds, like let's say you have one monophonic lead and you need to beef it up a little, copy and paste it, and then go through that process of what do you need to change in the sound to make it better or to reach your end goal. And there it is. It's pretty quick and simple. It's actually usable. So if you guys have any questions or comments, let me know below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And if you haven't checked out massivesynth.com, head on over there. Tons of cool new things, Massive related. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.